Get to Wings and Rings today at 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village.
Ever wonder what it's like to work for a company that actually cares? At Lincoln Industries, they're revolutionizing local manufacturing while taking care of their most valuable asset, their people. When you join their team, you'll enjoy comprehensive health coverage, wellness initiatives that work around your life, and benefits that show they're serious about your future. Plus, you'll be a part of a proud manufacturing tradition right here in the community. Don't just take their word for it. Visit LincolnIndustries.com to see all their current opportunities and find out why their people love calling Lincoln Industries home.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com. Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
Raising little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Davis Plumbing has been in business for over 15 years and is currently searching for journeyman plumbers to join their team. Experience is preferred, but not required for all applicants. When you join the team at Davis Plumbing, you'll receive full benefits package with paid time off. Join a small local business doing big things in Lincoln and surrounding areas. Apply today by calling 402-525-6922 or find them on social media. Davis Plumbing, locally owned and operated for over 15 years.
This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown! 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker and one more.
Demorne Pierson-El.
Only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
All right, welcome into the Dump Punt Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, if you guys want to join in, use the Sarter Heyman text line. We got plenty of things to talk about and plenty of hoops in particular. So if you're into basketball, it'd be a good show to stick around for. 402-464-5685, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, Channel 961. All great ways to put a face to the voice in the Allo VIP line graphic. As we do have the morning Pierson-El, the co-host of the show, on the Allo VIP line, really understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. Good morning, Pierson-El. How's it going on, I believe, the last day of the week where the high is going to be below 25 degrees?
It's going well, but, I'm not, excited about that.
Yeah. No, you should be excited. I think today was the worst. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it's supposed to get nicer. I hope so. We say it every day, though. This isn't an hour worth of weather, though. We're going to talk some hoops here. Start off with the Huskers. They lose to Iowa in overtime. They lose a 15-point lead in that one as well to open up the second half. They lose that 15-point lead pretty quickly after a barrage of threes, but they do end up losing it 87-97, despite Bryce Williams hitting a buzzer beater three to send it into overtime. Your thoughts? Good morning, Pierson-El.
It's just disappointing and sad, I think they are a better team. You were ahead and you just kind of, let them back into it. You kind of play down to your competition and you can't really afford that, with certain Big Ten opponents, especially playing on the road. So it was a lot by winning that game that would have been, good for them and moving forward and whatnot. Now this kind of, I feel like, take or knows the UCLA victory.
And I'll ask you this as a follow-up, and we'll dive into the details. How much does this change your opinion about the Husker team?
Come again, I didn't hear you.
I'll ask you this as a follow-up. How much did this loss change your view of the Husker team, if at all?
I wouldn't say it changes the view. It just it's a bit of a head scratcher.
That's the right answer. I agree with you 100%. I'll let you explain, though.
I understand, things what they were. Iowa was at home. They got hot with threes. I get that. But, yeah, you're still in the situation of what you were. I don't care if you got to slow the ball down, to not get them in rhythm and everything like that. If it takes you longer to get in set or, to tire them out more so on the defensive side of things or, bruise them inside, because all they kind of want to do is run and gun. Then, you do that. So it's just a head scratcher because you look good. You did what you were supposed to. And it's just the tide turned at the wrong time. So it's just like, how did that happen? How did we get there?
Yeah. Well, the tide was Peyton Stanford. Uncorks all 27 of his points, at least not counting overtime in the second half. Peyton Stanford had 0 points entering halftime. Ends the regular period with 27. Lights it up. Peyton and Dixon, really the two only players for Iowa that did much of anything, and were Dix in particular led him in that first half. And then you really didn't get Stanford until the end where he uncorks for 27. But those guys combined for 61 of their points. And you're right, it really was just Iowa getting hot from three. Iowa's going to do that, though, especially when they're down by 15. They love to shoot threes. They're going to keep shooting threes even when they're missing them. Eventually, they're going to start hitting some. And three-point shooting, for whatever reason, is contagious. I don't care what you say. There's a science behind it. It is contagious for whatever reason. When guys start hitting three-point shots, the rest of the team starts to feel it too. And that's just exactly what happened. And it let Iowa claw back in. It did get to a point where it just felt like Stanford was not going to miss. And the thing that was the head scratcher for me was Nebraska kind of allowing some of those easy threes. It's one thing if Iowa does a good job moving the ball, which they do. You give them credit for their ball movement. But if it takes one pass and we're already at a wide open corner three, we're not doing our job on defense. And to me, that was the head scratcher in that second half. And it could have been just the guys were gassed. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? In particular, the defense. I thought they were giving up way too many easy open 3-point shots in that second half just after one or two passes.
I mean, people, they're going to design and, change game plans and everything like that. you have to be prepared for change. So I think that was just more so a mental lapse of missed assignment that kind of crept in. And then, again, Iowa got hot, and you found yourself in a situation that, you didn't wish to be upon them. But, I mean, they know what they were doing. They were accomplishing it and doing things. But, small lapse in judgment or maybe fatigue, you can chalk it up to that. But you know what type of game, that they're going to play. And even if that's the case, on the offensive side, again, it goes back to slowing down the game. That way, you're not playing at their pace. And I think that's what Nebraska kind of fed into a little bit, and that's where things kind of switch back over in their favor.
Yeah, and this is, I think, what the toughest pill to swallow after that Iowa loss is I still leave the game thinking we're the better team. My opinion has not changed about Nebraska basketball. It felt like we lost to slop. When you're playing pickup basketball and people will call slop if it's just a terrible, you know what it is. Iowa's offense was not like, yes, they made some threes, they had some good passes, but a lot of it wasn't really highly executed basketball. It was simply just taking really deep threes and just hoisting them up every opportunity you got. On defense, they don't really play any defense. They kind of let you do what you want to do just so they can get the ball back. Their defense might be their offense, and just how many shots they're going to take and essentially just trying to gas you out is their defense. That part to me is kind of the tough pill to swallow. It's like you lost to a team where despite their really good shooting night, you still pushed them to overtime, but then you shot so poorly from the free throw line, which is an anomaly for them so far this year, that if you just would have made one free throw, or if you just would have been 50% of what you usually are from the free throw line, you would have won the game. You wouldn't have had to go to overtime. But let me pull up the numbers here. The other thing that, again, I just don't know if the guys were gassed, if they didn't have their legs under them, but the Huskers were 54% from the free throw line yesterday. Not a great day. 12 for 22, rarity for them. Meanwhile, the Hawkeyes, 22 for 25. So they kind of flipped the script. Now they're a good free throw shooting team. But when you're going to give them that many, a lot of them being in overtime, of course, but still, for Nebraska to miss that many free throws, should you be nervous about that part, or is that just a fluke?
A little bit, because that has to get better. You got to be above that. You got to be consistent. That's the time where, even if you're tired, you got 10 seconds, I believe, to gather yourself, and it's an easy bucket. I understand. We're not Shaq, and it's not Shaq shooting it. So I don't know if coach has to run them tired a little bit more, or pick up their intensity to where they are getting used to and more comfortable just being tired and having to concentrate at the free throw line. But I mean, how many times have we kind of see free throws kind of come back to haunt us? And that's the thing. I understand it happened here and there or whatnot, but I agree with you. After that game, I still believe we were the better team. But you can point to pretty much two things, and if you handle those two things, you walk out of there with a W, easily by a double digit.
And that's what's crazy. Iowa shot, real quick, I'll let you finish, but I just want to throw this in there to how crazy, if we're going to try to sell the silver lining on this whole thing. Iowa shot 48% from three. They were 17 of 35. I don't know if you saw the one where he shot it from the logo, bounces off the front of the rim, skies into the air, falls back onto the back iron of the rim, and then just rolls in. I mean, they also had an unreal shooting night to add on to what was just kind of the craziness of Iowa's kind of slop. I don't want to call it slop because it's good shooting, but they're not that good. Go ahead and finish. I had to throw that in there.
No, it's all good. It's just one of those things that needs to get in check to be more consistently, because we've seen it time and time again. Free throws can win you or lose you a game, and I believe that is what happened. If you make just six more, we're probably not in overtime. The game is probably done.
You make one more. So you just make one. Like that's all it takes at that point. You make one and you win the game. There's no overtime. That's what's brutal about it. But you missed 10 of them. Just kind of bizarre. So are you willing to say that's a fluke, or you worried about that coming back? I am willing to say that is one of the here and there's. I don't think that's going to be a consistent problem going forward.
I wouldn't say a concern. It's a lot of tangibles with that. Playing on the road, the Big Ten playing on the road, like that kind of gives into it. It was a good showing, I think. It just wasn't enough. I wouldn't say a concern, but is it something that, hopefully it doesn't, peak its head at the wrong type of things? And then, yeah, but I wouldn't say I'm concerned about it. I feel like concern is a bad way to say it's a problem that you got to keep your close eye on, and I'm not quite just ready to say that just yet.
I'm with you. Last thing I got, in particular with this game, how much do the refs have to do with it? I hate doing this. I really do. It's not fun to talk about the refs, especially for how much we've had to do it for football. But man, it's getting ridiculous sometimes. That game, I'm not saying Nebraska would have won, but I will say they certainly would have had a better chance. They missed a complete reach over across the body, slapped Bryce Williams to get that steal. In that same possession, double dribbles in front of the ref. Ref still doesn't call it. You had a series where Berke Beruktingel got a nice elbow to the head. Okay, maybe I can give you that one. It was a very bang play. You don't want to call it there. There was multiple missed calls down there late, and Iowa was getting the benefit of the doubt, and I can say that pretty confidently. They even had some Iowa fans chiming in, talking about, man, if I'm Nebraska, I'm pretty pissed right now, and that's coming from a Hawkeye who they're going to be biased, and they even see the officiating was horrible. Not saying guaranteed to win, but didn't help.
That's bad when the obvious one, that, somebody's grandmother sitting on a couch with her reading glasses on could see. Those ones I feel like, y'all have to be able to call those better. Now, will you miss a few, in the game and everything like that? Absolutely. But the blatant ones, come on now, you are a paid official to do a job. It's 3-4 refs on a court or whatever, and you have replay. That's unexcusable for so many obvious ones in one night to be not called. Well, they definitely have to do a better job, and I'm not saying, that's why we lost and everything. It didn't necessarily help, but the eye-opening ones to where everybody's like, ooh, we got away with it, but, they're not even happy that they got away with it type situations. Those are the ones that I'm like, come on, Mr. Refs. Y'all got to get y'all things together.
Well, that's just it. There's the ones that you're willing to swallow because it's a tough job. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the most brutal jobs you can have because, let's be real here, the refs, you're never a fan favorite. More often than not, if people are talking about you, it's because they're pissed off at you. It's a brutal job. You're most of the time, if people are talking to you, it's not nice things, but there is a certain level of expectation, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on the bang, tough angle, depending on where you're at on the court, on the point of the foul. But again, when you're talking about the Bryce Williams turnover, to me is that really big one because there is 3 right in front of the ref. And when you have a team like Iowa who is clawing back in the middle of a comeback and just needs a few more big plays before the clock runs out, that stuff really matters. I mean, that was the big swing, was that Bryce Williams steal turns into the double dribble, and then all of a sudden the Huskers are in a position where they're kind of backed into a corner and the Hawkeyes are coming to rolling in. And there's multiple. I mean, even if you don't want to say it was a reach on Bryce, they still pushed Bryce when he lost the ball. So you still got to push on him. And then, of course, the double dribble. There's also a point in time where either Juwan Gary or Braxton Mia had the ball on the sideline there. They get shoved. They get a nice little kind of, I don't know if you ever, it's like when you kick the back of someone's knee and you take the leg out from underneath them. Had a little bit of that going on. The ref just assumes that Juwan Gary wanted to hop out of bounds. It was totally a normal body reaction. They didn't call a push on that. And all of that was in the last 5-6 minutes when Iowa was coming back. And that's the part that really frustrated me. The officiating wasn't too much of an issue. I didn't think it was great. But at the end of the game there, man, you got to get those calls, especially when they're back to back like that. And you got a team like Iowa who is doing everything they can to get stops and to get the ball. And if you let him just blatantly reach and double dribble right in front of your eyes. And I don't know if they just wanted to go home, if they had money on Iowa, but that was pretty bad there down the stretch. Is this just the Big Ten overall problem when it comes to officiating? Because I haven't seen it too much in college basketball this year, but that was the first one.
I think this is an NCAA problem on all levels outside of one conference in football. Other than that, I mean, there's always room to improve. I feel like, the ACC refs are between them and the SEC refs for basketball are probably the best in the business. Big Ten doesn't, rank high, but they definitely can be better. But it's not necessarily an issue to where every game or whatnot. Of course, there are some bad games, bad calls and whatnot, but it's not anything to where I'm just, it's too much. There are some times where I'm like, oh, okay, like, that was bad or whatnot, but that's to be expected. People mess up or whatnot, but again, I mean, if a team plays well enough and everything like that, it doesn't matter what the refs do or anything like that if you take care of business. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Juwan Gary, we'll quick throw in. Bryce Williams, the two lead guys for the Huskers are typically Juwan Gary, Bryce Williams, Connor Season if he's having a good day, which unfortunately for Iowa did not have one of those good days. But Bryce Williams did drop 21 points. Juwan Gary, though, a game he'd like to forget. He was 5 for 21, and a game where I really thought this was the Juwan Gary game. Like you're talking about an Iowa team, not the most athletic group of guys. They like to play small ball. This is a game where if you're Juwan Gary, you got the fifth year, you're a veteran. That's a game I thought he would really be able to bully. Really struggled. Were you surprised to see Juwan Gary's really probably the worst game he's played in a Husker uniform thus far? I don't think it's going to be a staple for him going forward. But any concerns about the Juwan Gary performance?
No, not our concerns. I mean, people have off days and whatnot. It might have just not, been his night. Unfortunately, if that happened when, if he'd have been more consistent or, if he was getting, not saying he wasn't getting to the bucket, but if his buckets was actually falling in, again, that could be the difference with the win. But it's not anything where I'm overly concerned about. He's an effort player. He's an energy type of guy. Regardless, he's going to, get back and do certain things. I mean, that's the work that we've seen him play, and he's been here for how long? So, I mean, you kind of took the deal with the bad. It wasn't your night, but I guarantee you that's going to motivate him and piss him off for this next game to come, and that's what you better watch out for.
It's that part, right? I think Juwan Gary to me is – I wanted to bring this one up because I know it was an ugly game for him, but you still picked up 13 rebounds. So you got the double-double. I hope you had 10 points at least if you take 21 shots, but you pull in 13 rebounds. You get 2 steals with it as well. You get a block. Like, it's not like all he did was shoot a bunch of shots and miss most of them. He was all over the court in other aspects of it. And I will say how he got to 21. He had a couple of series in there where also how he got quite a few rebounds where it was just did not have the touch on the rim that day for whatever reason. Few possessions where it was just kind of you shoot it, you get your own offensive rebound, you shoot it, you get your own offensive rebound again, and hopefully you get it on the third one. Unfortunately, it's just one of those days for Juwan Gary where he was really struggling. And I also say this, like, you might be like kind of grossed out by the 21 field goal attempts. Somebody else could have decided to make a shot yesterday. There were some stretches there where I thought Nebraska was just kind of really looking for an answer. With that 15-point lead cushion, they were kind of sitting on it. I thought they got a little bit conservative. That's always kind of a tough thing to play in basketball is when you have the lead, do you pump the brakes a little bit, knowing you're playing an Iowa team who all they want to do is play fast? And I think Nebraska thought they would do themselves a favor by slowing it down, taking Iowa out of what they like to do, and it actually hurt them because their offense instead completely stalled out, and Iowa's got humming off of that. So one of those situations where Juwan Gary, he take 21 shots, but the offense was coming into absolute stall points in that second half. And I think he felt like the leader on the team because he is one. And he tried to make a few things happen, maybe forced a few. But like I said, I mean, the team overall, not horrible shooting numbers, 9 for 23 from the 3-point line. They actually shot 46% from the field overall. But you are playing Iowa. Like that, those are numbers you kind of expect. Iowa's not going to put a whole lot of effort into that side of the ball. Last thing, before we throw it to break here, they got Purdue up next. Another big opportunity. I haven't changed too much on who I think this Husker team is. And I do believe this one is on the road. Let me double check here. Yeah, so Husker Hoops, they're on the road, and it is a ranked opponent in Purdue 25. What version of the Huskers do you expect to get? You expect to fire it up one, ready to pull off the upset? Or is this it is a tough atmosphere to play. It's a miracle to pull this one out.
I think you'll get a pissed off Nebraska team. I think they'll have a bitter taste in their mouth from the Iowa one. Missed opportunities. I don't want to say missed preparation, but just, missed assignments and just not holistically doing all the little things right to ensure a victory. And you got another top 10 opponent. You got another top 25 opponent that you're going to be playing. It's a Big Ten opponent. This could put you back, on the right path of where you want to go. So hopefully the UCLA, Nebraska shows up.
I think there's a good chance for that. This Purdue team is certainly not the Purdue team last year. You saw it with some of their earlier games. They lost to, I believe they've lost to Texas A&M. I know they lost to Auburn pretty convincingly too. So you kind of see what they look like against the real competition of this year thus far in college basketball. Auburn, certainly impressive. And that was kind of the one game that wasn't too far back I kind of look at with Purdue. It's not the same Purdue team. This is not a team that you have to be absolutely terrified of. Yes, they're really good. I will say the one concern, they're excellent at moving the ball around and finding that three-point line. It could be a little bit like Iowa, where Iowa, they really excel at finding the openings on that three-point line. And Nebraska did a good job in the first half, not so much in the second half. I think that's going to be the challenge for that game against Purdue on the road is can they shut down the three-point shooting and just get enough into those passing lanes to where it isn't like Iowa, where it's 1-2 passes and all of a sudden you're looking at a wide open three-point shot in the corner. All right, with that being said, we'll throw it to break here. And if you are curious, ESPN matchup predictor, they do got Purdue favored 73% to win that game to Nebraska's 26%. I do want to keep talking hoops though, and then we'll dive into some Husker football on the second, third segment. We got the Thunder and Cavs playing as we speak here. And it is a game in the NBA that actually has a lot of meaning to it. That's kind of a rarity in today's regular season in the NBA. But this one's got some real potential. So we'll talk about that. The game's already going on, like I said. So we'll give you the update on it. Don't go anywhere. Don't punt hour. We got the morning Pierson-El, Harrison Arns. Talk to you in a little bit.
Attention all wing fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays. And on Tuesdays, enjoy 89-cent boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.29 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today at 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village. League One Volleyball is bringing the action to Omaha with Omaha's first serve on January 24th at 7 p.m. Central Time at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Witness history in the making as Love Omaha Volleyball takes on Love Madison in the team's inaugural home match. Be there to watch Olympic teammates Jordan Larson and Lauren Carlini go head-to-head in a battle of the world's best. Visit lovboma.com for tickets starting at $31. Volleyball is the next major league.
New year, new you? Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping can help make sure you keep that resolution this time. Our proven system combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition, along with our expert coaching to make sure you're moving forward toward your goals. The next 10-week challenge starts January 11th. But if you enroll now, you can start today and get a head start on those gains for no extra cost. Plus, head to fxblincoln.com and you can save $100. Don't wait. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Raising little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has added new strength equipment. Save $28 or more when you join today, and you can be one of the first to try it out. We're raising the bar with new benches, and our new hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all of the best-in-class equipment we've always had, with most clubs open 24 hours, so you can work out your way on your time. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends January 10th. See Home Club for details.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known. But what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Davis Plumbing has been in business for over 15 years and is currently searching for journeyman plumbers to join their team. Experience is preferred, but not required for all applicants. When you join the team at Davis Plumbing, you'll receive full benefits package with paid time off. Join a small local business doing big things in Lincoln and surrounding areas. Apply today by calling 402-525-6922 or find them on social media. Davis Plumbing, locally owned and operated for over 15 years.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in. Second segment, Don't Punt Hour. You guys are always welcome to join in. 402-464-5685. That is the Starter Heyman text line, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, channel 961. All right, I teased it. In the NBA, you do have a battle of the number one seeded West and the number one seeded East. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the OKC Thunder. The Cavs have only lost 4 games thus far into the NBA regular season. They're 31-4. Meanwhile, the Thunder, they've only lost 5. They're 30-5. You could argue the better record because of being in the tougher conference in the West. But right now it's sitting there. It's a close game. Thunder are leading it 70-66. There's 9 minutes, 30 seconds left to go in the third quarter. And to give you a quick rundown, it looks like for the Cavaliers, or excuse me, for the Thunder, you're getting a good production from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's got 18 already. Jalen Williams, he's got 16, and that's been pretty spread around. For the Cavs, Jarrett Allen, he's got 17 points. The big man, 7 rebounds as well. Evan Mobley, he's got 14, and then you're getting good. Donovan Mitchell, he's only got 4, but Garland's got 8, and you're pretty much just getting a good balanced spread. And Strus with 9 points off the bench as well. Your thoughts on this? Thunder, Cavs, a little bit surprised by the Cavs still holding on to being that dominant team in the East. Who do you got?
I mean, I got Thunder. I don't think it's close. I'm not surprised with the Cavs. You know, they've been building something for these last past couple of years. They've been a playoff team. They got a lot of pieces, and they've been adding to stuff. I think late in the season, that they'll definitely be a postseason team, and we'll see how long their run goes. But I mean, we know for the East who is going to run through, and I wouldn't say Boston. I mean, I wouldn't say Cavs is the ideal place, but I mean they're doing an excellent job. They're handling business. They're getting wins. And they're doing what they're supposed to. So, good luck to the Cavaliers and everything like that. They have found, their lane and doing things right.
Yeah, and if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, you're also doing yourself an awesome favor by dominating within the standings, because you do have the Celtics at 2. I mean, that's beautiful. You want to be in that 1 or 2 spot. You just don't want to be on that same side with the Boston Celtics. Because if you're the Cavs, the real dream is, if you're going to play the Boston Celtics, you kind of hope it's the Eastern.
In the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
yep.
That's where they struggle. For whatever reason, that's the history has told you that's when the pressure really seems to strike the Celtics. I will say, though, this Cavs team, like, if you watch them, there's times I'm like, this team might be good enough to go ahead and beat the reigning champions, the Boston Celtics. Are we there yet?
They're exciting. Like, I like the way they play. They play hard. They run a well organized team. It's not a bunch of me. It's not the LeBron like hyping everything like that when he was there, or the Kyrie, that whole beef situation and everything like that. Everybody is cool with everybody. Everybody eats like that's how they operate.
Yeah, and they definitely found a guy in Donovan Mitchell. I mean, that was awesome free agent signing by those guys to go ahead and acquire him. I know it's not new, but it has been a great fit for him down there with the Cavaliers, and they've also just kind of been nailing it in some of their draft picks. I mentioned Mobley before, as he's having a good night for him. I'm not sure if they'll win this game, but you got some pretty good young players. Like, you look at the Thunder and the Cavs, and that's how you build a team. It looks like those two teams figured out the model. You get your superstar, and once you got one, you don't need to go ahead and get greedy and start thinking, well, man, now we need to try to figure out a way. How can we get Kevin Durant? How can we get LeBron James? Trying to figure out, how can we get Zach LaVine? Well, how many picks do we have to give away? Like, there is a way to build through the draft, and it still seems like that's the best way to do it. Like, you look at the Warriors dynasty run, their run was built through the draft. You look at what the Thunder are doing right now, built through the draft. You look at what the Cavs are doing. Yes, a few more acquisitions than what the Warriors and Thunder did, but they're doing it through the draft. Like, that's the way to build a team. And have them be good consistently, and not having to, once you do win it, have to fall into just a kind of purgatory. You saw that with the Cavs a little bit after they win it. Your superstar leaves in LeBron James, and now you're kind of searching the earth for years until now they're finally having some success. But when you do pay for teams like that, it's tough to rebound once you run out of the money, and you got to get rid of some superstars, because you can't keep Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, all those guys fed and happy forever. So that's kind of the blueprint right now. I don't know if there's anybody in the West side now talking about that can really challenge the Thunder. There's some good teams. I think the Nuggets are probably the best bet, just simply because of what Jokic can do, and really kind of offensively counter a lot of what OKC likes to do on defense. Other than that, I don't know who's beating the Thunder, though, because they're just as impressive despite their youth.
We haven't gotten to All-Star break just yet, so I'll hold off on that. I think, the anticipation and the chase and things will definitely start to heat up after that. There are still some teams that are there. The Mavs, you still have to watch out for them. The West is still stacked, so it's not just over and done with and everything like that. I don't think teams have really hit their stride, yet. They play 82 games. That's a lot of games. You got to maintain, a lot of playing. So I think the measure of, who's going to really, contend will come after All-Star weekend.
I'll tell you one team who needs to figure it out once they get to the All-Star weekend. I'm not even trying to beat up on these guys, but it does feel good to be right. The Phoenix Suns, 16-19. The experiment still is not working in year 2 of it. You get Bradley Beal, you get Kevin Durant, you get Devin Booker, offense. You still don't really know who that playmaker is. It's kind of Devin Booker. Bradley Beal's starting to look like he's kind of pissed off and maybe wants out. Thoughts on the Suns, and if they can actually turn this thing around, or if this is going to be one of those failed experiments?
Yeah, they can turn it around by trading Beal. I mean, you got too many, all-stars or people that need the ball or need to create, the offense, or the offense that's been created around them on one spot. Devin Booker, I mean, we said what he said. He's not going to go anywhere. He's a real true guard. Look at what he was doing in the Olympics. Like, that's where he thrives. at kind of running around, being chased, and kind of creating shots. You need to put him there and kind of like leave him at that. KD is KD. I know that the Heat talking about that they weren't going to trade for Jimmy Butler and everything like that, but you add Jimmy into that situation, I think Jimmy changes up the culture and pisses people off, and now I think you'll get, an even better Kevin Durant player, an even better Devin Booker player, because he going to check people. So that would be a lovely trade, but I don't think that's going to happen. But it's been the same thing since they got rid of Chris Paul. The team just has, with him and the coach, it just hasn't looked the same.
Yeah, and that's again where I just think like GMs, they get impatient. If you're the Suns, you had the right coach in Monty Williams. You had the right guard in Devin Booker. You didn't need to like go all in on trying to get all these pieces. Like when you got Chris Paul to Phoenix, it started really working. I'm not saying you had to keep Chris Paul forever, but you took a dramatic shift once he was gone. And that was the only success you ever had, was with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and what those guys are doing together. And then when he left, you just completely went off script of everything that worked because you were still kind of hitting the wall in the playoffs. And I don't see it happening for him in the second half of the season unless they do a big trade. Beal does have some good market value. He can't play good basketball, but I do think if you're the Phoenix Suns, they need a Jimmy Butler. Does he actually get traded, though? I don't. These reports are back and forth.
I hope so. Because I like Jimmy. People can say he's a villain and this and that, but I feel like the NBA is a lot more exciting when he's pissing people off or when he's talking to the media and everything like that. He's definitely a value player in there, and he doesn't want to be there. Clearly y'all don't want him there. You're not really using him and everything like that. So why? Like, what's the holdout for it? I mean, enough of the pissing contest. On either side, get what you want to get and move on. You have a good coach down there in Miami. Clearly, you believe in other players and other things. So just move on with it. Y'all got to where y'all got to, because of Jimmy. If Jimmy's not necessarily there, the team's not the same. So, do what you got to do in free agency or, a trade market and everything like that. But stop wasting people's time. Like, you being dramatic about it, the front office or whatnot. I mean, he's already vocally said, what he wants to, how he feels about the situation. So, just rip the Band-Aid off and come on, let's get over this thing.
Yeah, when it comes to Jimmy Butler, you don't want to get in a pissing contest with him. He's done that. I mean, let's just be real. We're talking about Jimmy Butler. Like, there might be some truth that he's not the best locker room guy, but he's a damn good player, and he plays really good when the clock goes off. But I mean, you remember the whole deal with the Timberwolves on the way out.
But what do you mean? Like not a good locker room guy? Because I mean, the teams that he's playing on outside of maybe Minnesota, he's raised the temperature of the room. Because they've been a lot.
Speculation, right? Because the Bulls players were sick of him when he left. The Timberwolves players were sick of him when he left, and it sounds like the Heat players are getting sick of Jimmy Butler too. I'm not saying like they're right or wrong, but I'm just saying there is a pattern. I'm not picking sides here, but this is the pattern of Jimmy Butler.
Once he gets annoyed, irritated, or done with the situation, both sides, that's a mutual agreement. Both sides not messing with each other.
And that's where you're right. Stop the pissing contest.
You gotta wait for it to get bad for him to be not a locker room guy when everything is smooth, fine, and sailing and everything is cool. But when it goes south, then now it's Jimmy's the bad guy. I'm not saying he is or isn't, but it's funny because the first couple of years you weren't hearing anything. Everything's fine and dandy, everything's good. Now all of a sudden, he voiced how he feels about certain things, and now people are tired of him.
Yeah, and that's the Jimmy Butler experience. When he's done, he's done.
He's done.
And like that's where I think you're right. Like if you're the Heat, cut your lot, do something. You're not going to get a good version of Jimmy Butler to trade. Like he's not going to give you the most inspired basketball. Probably he's going to go compete because he's a competitor, and he's not just going to let people pick on him. But like you're not going to get the super dedicated Butler, I don't think anymore. And you're at a point where, again, when it comes to Butler, you don't want to be in these contests with him where you're both just kind of dragging each other across media. Jimmy Butler is going to go out there and say whatever the hell he wants to say. So figure it out. Do it behind closed doors. Talk to him. Just get this thing cleaned up. because they can only be ugly for the Heat. Even if Jimmy Butler, right, wrong, or neutral, whatever he does is only going to put the Miami Heat in a bad light. The more he likes to bring out to the press conferences, to the media, he's already just been littering comments on social media. If you have any NBA social media, because he's just kind of making these comments here and there, and everyone's picking up on it. Jimmy knows what he's doing. He knows when he says certain things that stuff's going to pick up traction. And to me, that's a sign of a guy who is starting to kind of force his way out. So, like, again, if you're the Heat, you got to figure that stuff out now. The Suns honestly seem like the best location. As we wrap things up here, if you are the Miami Heat, you could trade the Suns. You could get some decent players out of it. What are some other destinations, though, that they might be thinking about that they can maybe ship Jimmy Butler off to and get something worth their while?
That is a good question.
What do you think about the Pelicans? Because
that wouldn't be bad. You got a young team. Hopefully he can whip Zion into shape. But I mean, that's going to be a clash of titans. Zion has been doing things a certain way.
Do you do
and everything like that? So
Jimmy Butler for Brandon Ingram?
I would think you would want to keep him and Brandon Ingram together. That would be real hard. Brandon Ingram and Bam Adebayo are similar. That big man role. So I don't know if you go superstar for superstar on that one. If I'm the Pelicans, honestly, I would rather keep Ingram and kind of build off of and around him.
I just it's gonna be hard. I just think with Jimmy Butler, I'd have to look at what the Pelicans have for picks, but they kind of got looted with that Lakers when they got rid of AD. Oh no, they actually got some picks out of that. So I take that back because they got rid of AD, but they got quite a few picks out of it. And that's when they got Ball and all those guys as well. And I think they got picks out of that. So they might actually be okay on picks, but to me, it's just, I think if the Heat were going to do it, they're going to want more than just some picks. They're going to want one promising player. And the best scenario for the Miami Heat is Zion. Zion Heat culture could be what that man needs, but they're not going to get rid of Zion. I think they'd be more likely to get rid of Brandon Ingram.
If I'm the Pelicans, I would get rid of Zion. That's just fresh start, new city, and everything like that. Jimmy, he comes in there, a lot more stability. You got a young group in there. We never got the Zion at Duke. We never got that consistent.
Not even close. So we haven't seen it for.
So they're in the same situation to just understand what your loss is and everything like that. And just kind of move on. If the Heat would go for that, if I'm the Pelicans, I would be inclined for that. I understand Zion's young and whatnot, but he's flashy. I understand maybe sell tickets. You South Beach, I get that. But as far as what is really Zion, ceiling with things, and Jimmy, he's not a young player. But it kind of, equal each other out.
Yeah, I think, man, it's just for whatever reason, the Pelicans the whole thing fell apart. They had such a bright spot. There was a window where it was after the AD trade. We were like, man, Zion Williamson, you got Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart. I'm trying to think of all the players they had. They had a good lineup though, and then they just couldn't ever quite get it to start clicking completely. And then Zion started getting hurt. You obviously have the weight issues. It just doesn't ever feel like if it's going to happen for Zion, it's not going to happen in a Pelicans jersey. And I don't know fully why that is, but it's just been disaster after disaster with him and that team. I
think, the number one pick, that you're trying to get the guy to be, the face of the league, the face of your organization. So you give extra chances. Zion might, and I'm not saying it's over for him or anything like that, but he might need, a change of scenery. How many times have we seen players go elsewhere and flourish or come out of things? I think that's what, Zion will need and everything like that. And I mean, even if it is Miami wouldn't be a bad spot to, start something new over.
Well, that's what he needs a Spo too. You know what I mean? That's what I'm like. He needs an Eric Spoelstra that's not going to deal with load management and taking time off. I think there's some injury stuff that Zion totally could have prevented himself if he take care of his body the proper way, and it just feels like Spo not going to put up with that.
For sure.
Well, that's all I got on that. I think it's an interesting deal, though, for the Pelicans to seriously consider, because I don't think they'll do it, but I think they should. I think they're just going to piss time away with Zion. It seems kind of crazy, but I just, they can't get that guy to work down there. And I don't know if it's the distractions outside of the Pelicans organization or if it's within the organization, but it's just not working. They're 7-30 right now in the West. They're the worst team in the Western Conference, despite being what was supposed to be the future face of the league. So I do think it's time for them to really reconsider what do they have in Zion, and if they need to make a move and try to sweeten the deal of their future by putting Zion out there and seeing what the bites are. All right, we'll throw it to break. Let's talk about Elijah Pritchett on the other side there. The former five-star offensive lineman from Alabama officially commits to Nebraska out of the transfer portal. We'll talk about that next. Don't Punt Hour. Good morning, Pierson-El on the Owl VIP line. Harrison Arden's back at the studio. Talk to you in a little bit.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats. Dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people. Small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solution offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln. Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in the winter, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues begin in February. Get signed up today. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex at West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Raising little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and we wanted to give a special shout out to all of our great customers, thanking you all for a record-setting year in 2024. Now let's get the new year rolling with some big savings. Right now at Cobble, we have some of the biggest discounts in the area with over $12,000 off list price or 0% APR on select new models. So stop on in the dealership or hit us up online at cobblecars.com to get true low country overhead in action. $12,000 off list or 0% APR right now at Cobble. So please stop on in or visit us at cobblecars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Raising little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program. Here is your host, Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment, Don't Punt Hour with the host, as always, Pierson-El on the Allo VIP line. Wrapping things up here with some Husker football. Nebraska gets another commit out of the transfer portal. It is the former 5-star Alabama offensive lineman. Started 10 games for the Crimson Tide, played in all 12 of them, and I believe he's still got 3 or maybe even 4 years of eligibility left. Let me double check on that. But thoughts on that, landing Elijah Pritchett out of the portal?
That's a good land, regardless of whatever, you think people could say, oh, he got playing time. He went to Alabama. He was going against, the best of the best at certain positions and everything like that. He's well callous, and he has depth to the room. So, good pickup.
Absolutely. He's 6'6", 327 pounds. 247 does have him as a 4-star now. He was a 5-star as a prospect. But yeah, it looks like so he will have some eligibility left for us as well. So yeah, I just think that's a big one. I talked about this yesterday as we're going through it. Like, what are the biggest concerns for Husker football? It's not that I don't have any trust in Raiola as the offensive line coach. It's just like I haven't really seen the depth. And on offensive line is one of those things where you kind of look at the height, the numbers, and the size of it. You kind of know what you got. And a guy like Gunnar Katula, who stepped in and looked pretty good at times. But when you're losing guys and Bryce Benhart and Scott who have 40-plus starts, actually I think it was 50 by the end of it all, that's a lot of experience to go ahead and replace. So when you get someone like there who started a lot of games in the SEC and is kind of used to being in those starting positions, certainly gives me a lot more confidence. With that being said, where are you at with the offensive line now? Like, how much does this move the needle in terms of your confidence that Nebraska football, more often than not, will be able to dominate the line of scrimmage?
It's a start. I don't think they're definitely done. But you need, spots like this, splash, transfers or whatever, coming in, even if you want to go to JUCO route or something like that. But you need, established, callous players to come in and step in to compete for, open spots. Because, we're losing a lot of experience up front. So, quality guys, experienced guys, versatile guys, and solid pickups. But this definitely, this move is pointing in the right direction.
Absolutely. And I wonder if you maybe need one more. That was a good start. I kind of thought they would try to shoot for a couple of some good offensive linemen in the portal. It is one of those positions where it's tough to find, though, because as soon as there is a good one that lands in the portal, everyone is kind of chomping at the bits to go ahead and see if they can recruit them, get them to commit to their school. They're kind of a dime a dozen.
I'm not even that. If you get a glue guy, if you get a guy that, you know, is tenacious, he may be undersized, but, you know, he may be a tad undersized. He moves well. He can play multiple positions from center, guard, or, you know, tackle, guard, or whatever. I think versatility is key. So just not, you know, your big oak trees or your certain type of players. If you find a talented guy that you love that will fit in your system, I think that is also beneficial. So you don't need, you know, they all don't need to be 4 or 5 stars, but, you know, you get a veteran that's been at a place, or, you know, that's looking for a new home because of whatever reasons or whatnot, that can come in there and just help gel and give knowledge, or, you know, again, sharpen iron or sharpen what you have there and everything like that. You know, that would be a plus too. It's not just, you know, star power.
Absolutely. And it could be one of those things, too, where I have been impressed by the development of the younger guys that Rilla has been able to do since he came over and took over as that offensive line coach, being retained by Matt Rule. I think you are starting to see some of the results of that. So it is one of those things as well. Like, even if this is the only guy we get out of the portal for that position group, the development, as we've kind of seen glimpses of with some of the guys who have stepped in, might be good enough to where the guys we have in reserve are good enough to go ahead and take that next step. With that being said, though, we'll wrap it up. This has been the Don't Punt Hour. Appreciate DeMornay Pierson-El joining me on the Allo VIP line. He'll join us again tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. We got the Malone radio show up next. John and Mike will join you in a little bit.